Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Unitarian Congregation of Mendon and Uxbridge. My name is Matthew Marion, and it's a great pleasure to thank everybody who joined us for our Strawberry Festival yesterday. The bands, the vendors, the food was excellent. I'd like to thank everybody. Today I'm going to be starting off with Chopin's Third Impromptu. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning and welcome again to the Unitarian Congregation of Mendon and Uxbridge. It's so wonderful to gather together. Welcome to all of you who are here in person and those of you who are viewing the service online. Opening words are from William F. Schultz. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. And the chalice lighting words are by Atticus Palmer. We light this chalice in hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, or when we need help, this flame guides us out of the darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. Please join me for the unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We will light candles for joys and concerns later in the service. Those of you who are here in person will be invited to come forward and light a candle. Those of you who are online are invited to send in your joys and concerns over the live stream chat or on the contact form on the webpage, and I will light a candle for those things later as well. Please join me for opening hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit, and you may rise in body or spirit if you wish. Today's story is called The Zither. It's a retelling of a traditional story. I found it in Margaret Silf's 100 Wisdom Stories from around the world. There was once a good and sincere man who was searching for the way to happiness, hoping to find joy. One day he went out to seek a wise old man who, as he had been told, would be able to show him the way he was searching for. The wise older man received him warmly as he sat at the door of his tent. After serving the seeker a glass of mint tea, the wise old man readily revealed the secret of the route to happiness, joy, and even truth. "It's a long way from here, to be sure," he said, "but you can't miss it. You will come to a village that I will describe to you. And right in the heart of that village, you will find 3 shops. There, the secret of happiness and joy will be revealed to you." It was indeed a long way. The seeker passed many valleys and crossed many rivers. Finally, he arrived at the village where his heart told him, "Yes, this is the place. This is the place I am seeking." And sure enough, there in the heart of the village were 3 little shops. But when he went inside them, he was deeply disappointed. In the first shop, all he found were some reels of wire. Just some reels of wire sitting there on the shelves. And in the second, there was nothing more exciting than a few pieces of wood. That was all that was in the second shop, just some wood. And in the third, there was just some roughly shaped metal. And that's all there were in the 3 shops. And so he was very confused and discouraged. He thought, how could possibly this be what I'm seeking? So weary and discouraged, he left the village and found a resting place for the night in a clearing not too far away. Darkness settled over the earth. The full moon filled the clearing with a gentle glow. And just as he was about to fall asleep, the searcher heard a beautiful melody coming from the direction of the village. What magical instrument could be giving rise to such perfect harmony? Quickly, he rose to his feet, and he walked toward where he thought the musician must be. And there, to his amazement, he discovered the celestial music was coming from a man playing a zither. And the zither, that musical instrument, had been made from wire and from wood and from metal. Indeed, from the pieces he had despised earlier that same day when he had seen them for sale in the 3 shops. At that moment, as he listened to that amazing music, he understood that happiness and joy are found in the union of the things that have already been given to us. And now we will have the call for the offering and the offertory. This congregation exists through the generosity of its members and friends, those who give of their time, of their talent, of their treasure, and of their energy. Please be as generous as you are able. A basket will be passed here in the sanctuary, and there will be a PayPal link on the live stream chat. And Matt will introduce the offertory.
My last offertory will be "You Are the Sunshine of My Life" by Stevie Wonder. Thank you.
you. Please join me for a responsive reading number 556, These Roses, by Ralph Waldo Emerson, adapted. And we will read this responsively, so I will say the first part and the second part of each section we will say together. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There is no time to them. They are simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before a leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts. In the full-blown flower, there is no more. In the leafless root, there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. But we postpone or remember. We do not live in the present, but with reverted eye lament the past, or, heedless of the riches that surround us, stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. We cannot be happy or strong until we too live with nature in the present, above time. Now I'd like to invite you into a time of meditation. I will play my singing bowl, and after that, Matt will play Spirit of Life, continuing in that spirit of meditation. As I play my singing bowl, I invite you to think of the treasures in your life, those things that you value and cherish, those people and relationships, those things in the world that you enjoy, all the blessings that you have, even the blessings that are emerging that you may not even fully be aware of yet. In the spirit of gratitude for our treasures, I will now play my singing bowl. Let us listen to the tone and breathe and be together in community. Thank you. Come to me. Today's sermon is called Opening Our Treasure Troves. I'd like to reflect on some of the things we value, ways to identify things we cherish, and a few ideas on how to grow treasured lives that are rich in meaning, joy, and love. Bronnie Ware was tired of doing unfulfilling work, so she left her lucrative career in banking and she became a hospice nurse. She took care of people who were dying, and as she took care of these people who were at the ends of their lives, she noticed some kinds of regrets that they would tell her, that she would hear over and over. She decided to write a book to let other people know about these regrets people often had at the ends of their lives. She called it The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, a life transformed by the dearly departing. I will share the regrets Bonnie heard from those who are dying so that they can inspire us to live our lives with fewer regrets and with more treasured living. So she had 5 main regrets she shared, so I will just briefly mention each of them. She found that people said, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life more true to myself and not the life that others expected of me. Bronnie said this was the most common regret of all. People would realize their lives were nearly over, and due to choices they had made or not made, they had many unfulfilled dreams and had not lived a life that was true to themselves. Another regret she often heard was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard and had spent more time on important relationships in my life. Bronnie said that this regret came from every male patient she nursed, especially. Working too hard and not spending enough time on those important relationships. And along the same vein, many people said they wished they'd stayed in touch with their friends. They wished they hadn't let precious friendships slip away. And the fourth common regret was, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Bronnie said that many people suppress their feelings in order to somehow try and keep peace with others. As a result, they felt they settled for a mediocre existence and never became who they were capable of truly becoming. And some people even developed illnesses relating to the bitterness and resentment they carried as a result. Courage to express our feelings. Sometimes it does take courage to express our feelings. And then the fifth regret that she talks about, that many people said, was, I wish I had let myself be happier. Many people did not realize until the end that happiness is a choice. Folks had stayed stuck in old habits, and their fear of change had prevented them from making the choice to be happy. People became full of regrets when they ignored the things they really valued, when they didn't live a life that was closer to their dreams. They ignored the things they valued because of the expectations of others, or being consumed in work, or sometimes because of the fear of change, or the fear of expressing their true feelings. All of these regrets came from people who were alienated from the deep things they valued: truth, joy, self-actualization, and relationships. We can use this knowledge to help us better value the treasures that we all have in our lives. How can we identify what our treasures and deepest values are? I'm sure we already know some of the things that we deeply treasure and value. Do we all value the same, deeper things? Or is each person unique in the things that she or he values? Maybe we are like a flower garden where we all bloom differently. However, we all value the sunshine and the soil and the water. We all value love in our lives and its different manifestations. And I think we all want to feel good and healthy and free. Some parts of what we value may be more individual. Some of us may desire a lot of good friends. Others may crave a few deep friendships more. Some people might value creative expression more. Others may value free time more highly. Sports are very important to some people, while music is very important to others. How we spend our time and where we place our attention give us significant indications of those things we hold dear. How we spend our time and where we place our attention give us significant indications of what we hold dear. If we say we value one thing, but then give it little of our time and attention, maybe we don't value it as much as we think we do. Another way we can identify what we treasure is by following our strong emotions. I told you in my sermon 2 weeks ago that grief is always the sign of love. So where there is grief, there is the precious treasure of love. And the love continues. In reflecting on this sermon, I realized that the other strong emotions we have are also indicators of the things we treasure. When there is fear in our lives, there's something we want to protect. Our life, our health, our family, our friends, something that is important to us. If we're afraid, we want to protect whatever that thing is that we're afraid could cause harm to that thing. And upon further reflection, I thought about anger. And where there is anger, real or perceived boundaries have been crossed. And we become angry because we care deeply that something we treasure has been violated. So, anger is also an indication of something we treasure, just like fear and grief are. It seems like any strong feeling gives us an indication of what we treasure. Because obviously, if we love something, we feel that and we know we treasure it. But these other things also give us indicators of things we treasure. How can we create more awesome lives and build our treasure consciousness? When we build our treasure consciousness, we have more freedom to choose what we treasure and are better able to enjoy the priceless treasures in our lives. If we quiet down, slow down, even if only briefly, we can better listen to what we treasure in our hearts, and that knowledge can help guide our actions. We all need some quiet time to reflect on our lives, at least occasionally, if not weekly or daily. Creating a quiet, contemplative space gives us a chance to reflect on our lives, feel gratitude for our treasures, and find direction for how we can best live our most treasured lives. This quiet space could be sitting by a river or lake, or lying down in the grass and looking up at the clouds or the stars. It could be sitting here in this sanctuary. It could take the form of a spiritual practice, meditation, prayer, journaling, creating art. A bit of time for relaxation and reflection, where we leave the busyness and the demands of our lives behind and leave the screens behind too. We can use that time to help us build more meaning, joy, and love in our lives. This space can help us water the gardens of our souls and help us nurture our true treasures. Also, I have a practice I want to share with you. I call this living in the yay. Living in the yay. And I want to note that this exercise or any of my suggestions don't take the place of professional help for those who need it. But this suggestion is dealing with the common ups and downs of life. So living in the yay means to take a situation, almost any situation, and look at it from the way that makes us the happiest. There are always multiple ways to view anything, and we can choose how to view things. And sometimes we can take a situation and we can search for the way to look at it, the way that makes us the happiest. When we are less than 100% happy about something, we might be able to shift the way we view it. In almost any situation, we can live into the yay. Maybe I should write a book with that title. It's such an upbeat title. For example, let me tell you how this might work. So say I'm having a conflict with a significant person in my life. So I could look at this conflict as helping me better understand what is important to me, and I can appreciate how I'm going about trying to solve the conflict. And I can appreciate the other person who's trying to work with me to solve the conflict. Maybe a contract too. But to take the situation with the conflict, and instead of just thinking it as a negative thing, think about it as a positive thing, as something to be grateful for, as an opportunity for growth. Or another example, say you didn't get an opportunity you were hoping for. You can look at this as a time that will make space for an even better opportunity to emerge, or that you will have time to be better prepared when the next opportunity presents itself. Or even a situation where you think, oh, I ate too much of that popcorn. Well, instead of bemoaning your bad choice of eating too much popcorn that you think you made, you could think, wasn't it fun that we watched that movie and ate popcorn together? And plus, the popcorn had good fiber and protein and calcium, too. You can just take anything, and you can look at it in the way that makes you the happiest, instead of the way that makes you the most unhappiness, which is what we sometimes choose. Living in the yay can help us find more to celebrate and treasure in our lives. And the things we still remain unhappy about can motivate us to make positive changes. And that's an important part too, because just trying to look at a situation in a different way doesn't automatically make us totally happy about the situation. But we can take the things that remain in our lives that we're unhappy about, even when we shift our viewpoint, and we can think, what can we do to change the situation? Living in the yay can help us with things we can't do anything about, things that are out of our hands, or regrets for things that happened in the past. And discomfort or pain for something we can change can be a strong motivator to do something to make the situation better. We can act, and we can also think about the situation in a way that makes us the happiest, including being grateful we can do something and being proud of ourselves for taking steps, because there are many things we can do. You might have heard this little story before. The Buddhist says to the hot dog vendor, "Can you make me one with everything?" The vendor seems to ignore the playful double meaning of the request and proceeds to load a hot dog with onions and relish and ketchup and mustard and sauerkraut, everything, and hands the hot dog with everything to the Buddhist. The Buddhist then hands the vendor a $20 bill, and he waits. And this Buddhist has spent a lifetime practicing meditation, and he's pretty good at waiting calmly and patiently. But some time passes, and the hot dog vendor seems to be totally oblivious to his presence. So finally, the Buddhist, restraining his irritation as best as he can, takes a deep breath and asks, "Excuse me, but don't I get some change?" And the vendor replies, "Ah, change must come from within." Are there changes from within that you want to make in your life in order to cherish your treasures more and to live a more treasured life? How can you live into more joy, more love, to more closely align your life with those things you deeply value? How can you bask more fully in the joy and love in your life? Change comes from within. You have it within you to live a treasured life, a life of richness and joy and meaning and love, a life with more compassion and more compassion toward yourselves as well, and fewer regrets. Go and live your most treasured lives. Amen, and blessed be. It's time for announcements. So I have two. We're still collecting for the Milford Community Meals Program. We received a lot of donations when we started asking for donations for this wonderful program. We haven't received as many lately. It'd be wonderful to bring some more stuff over to help those folks that are suffering food shortages in their lives in the wider Milford community. So they're looking for things like bottles of water, cans of soup and chili and pasta, breakfast items. They especially need bottles of water in the summer months. So if some of you are able to bring some donations and put them in the box in the front, I can bring them over in the next few weeks. That would be great. The box is there in the front of the church by the door, and so you can bring them on a Sunday morning or contact me or anyone who has a key, and you can drop them off during the week, and we can continue helping those folks. It's a collaboration of 6 area local churches, so it's wonderful we can be involved with this. And then I wanted to let you know the plan for the summer. So traditionally, I think the church stopped having services the day after the Strawberry Festival, but we are going to have services through the end of June for this church year. Next week will be a wonderful lay-led service celebrating the summer solstice, and I will be back in the pulpit on the 27th. And we will have a flower communion that day. So I hope you can all attend and attend in person if that works for you. During the summer, we will open up the fellowship hall, and we will have gatherings, kind of like coffee hours on Sunday mornings. For mini Sundays, we're going to try to arrange a mindfulness hike with Ron Woodall sometime during the summer for one of the Sundays. And we have 2 special opportunities this summer. We are doing a little collaboration with our neighbors, the Hopedale Unitarian Parish. So we will have a full service here on August 1st. I will be preaching, Matt will be playing. We hope all of you can come who are able, and we will invite our neighbors from the Hopedale Unitarian Parish. So we might have that in the sanctuary, or we might have it on the lawn, depending on the weather. But that's very exciting. And they are going to return the favor, and the minister in Hopedale, Reverend Steve Cook, will be preaching in Hopedale on August 22nd, and we'll invite all the folks from the Mendon Uxbridge congregation to come and join them there in Hopedale. So I hope you can come out for these 2 special services this summer. And then we will start back services in September. We will have a service on the first Sunday of September, And then the second Sunday, which is the Sunday after Labor Day, I believe, we will have like the homecoming service and the picnic afterwards. So please put those things on your calendar. I'm already looking forward to them. Those are all my announcements. Does anyone else have any announcements? All right, well, let's go into candles of joy and concern. So I will light the first candle, and then I will invite any of you present who have candles to come forward and light a candle. I got an email from Marcia Matthews, who many of you know has been helping with the filming this year. Her husband, Bob, was in a bicycle accident yesterday, and he broke 3 ribs, and one of the ribs perforated one of his lungs. And so he had to have surgery last night. And so she's not here today, and she asked me to light a candle of concern for Bob and that our hope that he has a smooth and speedy recovery. And then, would some of you like to come forward and light a candle? There's a microphone there, and you could please introduce yourself and share your joy or concern with all of us. Welcome back, Peter.
Well, thank you. I'm Peter, and first candle is a candle of unadulterated joy, of course. My son's wedding, and it went perfectly, and for Georgia weather, it was perfect with air conditioning, the humidities, and she is such a lovely girl. I was a little worried that she'd be a little too submissive, but she's got some spunk. And as I get older, I appreciate gentleness, and a wife especially. So he's well on his way, and he is, excuse me for the proud father. He's such a good man that the plumber that he hired to work on his house, he only met him 3 months. You know, 65-year-old one-socket Frenchman goes all the way to Georgia for, that my boy can make that contact. And that leads to the second candle, which is a little bit more of concern. And I don't want to make too much of it, of course, but a personal, if I make light of it, it is a form of torture for a Unitarian to ride in a van with 2 evangelists. And not just Mennonites. We're talking my sister's good friend, BJ, a professional consultant, but she is a fundamentalist and an evangelist. I don't deal with evangelists too well. And I'm sorry, but I think our faith does not do so well evangelizing. We are great accepting, and I guess for a more mature audience, when people have looked everywhere else, they'll come here. But we're being beat. They're getting young kids when they're, so how to become a Unitarian evangelist? I'm not sure how.
Thank you, Peter. Congratulations to your son and his wife and to you and your family. Esther, Joshua and Esther. Is there anyone else who has a candle?
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to light a candle of joy for our successful Strawberry Festival yesterday. It was awesome. Thank you to everyone that participated and worked so hard to make it happen. And thank you to everyone that came out in the community. It was such a great day meeting people and just being out there and being together again. So very, very joyful candle.
Thank you, Leslie. I knew you were going to light a candle for that. Is there anyone else who'd like to light a candle? Or any came in on the line? Well, I'll light the final candle for those things that remain unspoken in our hearts and minds this morning. And I will extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but we carry with us the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, and the flame of hope. These we carry with us. And now we will have the serenity prayer and the benediction. And you may rise if you wish for these final two elements. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Go out into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Rejoice in beauty. Honor all beings. Live treasured lives of love. Go in peace. And the organ postlude is number 282, Let the Whole Creation Cry.